Hey y'all, this is Morgan. Welcome to my happy place. So, I have a little experiment that I'm doing today. Oh, I'm sorry, get that baby. So, I have a little cattleya that I had gotten, a couple of months ago actually, and it had dry, desiccated roots at the time, and I have just not been able to get them to grow. The plant is very dehydrated. Now, it does have a few root nodes trying to come out, but I have tried using like KLN and some other rooting hormones. The problem, I think, is that it's only getting them for a brief period of time, and this little fella is just so small and needs more help than that can give. So I have tried doing semi-hydro with this, but that hasn't done well because there's no roots. And I know some people have success doing that with no roots, but it hasn't worked for me, not with this little guy. So one of the other things is that I will dunk it in water periodically for about 30 minutes, every few days, and I'll spritz it with a little water just as it is here in its little jelly jar. So what I want to try to do is use Keiki paste, which is rooting hormone, and lanolin. So my theory is if I do that, it should possibly help the roots to grow where those little buds are, much like when you use it to try to create a keiki on a stalk, a spike. So I don't want to do it on all of them because then it has no way of getting oxygen, because the lanolin in the keiki paste helps resist moisture. So I have a Q-tip here, and I've dipped it in the keiki paste. And so what I'm going to do, let's see if I can make this work. Let's see if I can show you that. You can see that little node right there. So just put a little glob on there, and then hopefully that'll grow. That little node, I was thinking that I would have some success, but it's been like that unchanged for quite a little while. So let's see if we can give it some help. Here's the other little node here, and there's one more, but it's even smaller. It's very hard to see. Actually, it's right here above the other one. Let's see, I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. So I'm just going to put it back in here, move it off to the side, and I wanted to talk to you about a couple of other things. Let me move this. There. So I had mentioned before about trying semi-hydroponics with seedlings. So I had gotten a flask of Brassivola nodosa seedlings, and I had put them in traditional and sphagnum moss, and had the lid on this container to keep the humidity up. But the problem is, after a few days, I did notice in one little area there was a very small amount of mold. And we were going to be leaving for a few days, and I was afraid that the mold, even though I kind of pinched it out, would take over the entire container and I would lose all of the seedlings. So I decided to put it in the semi-hydro, and so there's the leca pellets, and let's see, there is a little water reservoir there. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. And so some of the ones that had almost no roots, that were really, really tiny, I just placed them on top. And the ones that had a little bit better roots, I did put it under a pellet or two, and then, kind of spritz the whole top, put the lid on it, and it kept the humidity up, so they survived while we were gone. And then when I came back, I started taking the top off for increasingly long periods of time, so to harden them off. So they actually have grown a good bit, and the root system is looking pretty good. I've pulled most all of these up out of the pellets. Let's see, well, so most of them. Pull that one out. There you go. You can see its little roots here. So I have potted a couple of these already, and one of the things that I was hoping would be a benefit of doing this in the semi-hydroponics is that when I transfer to their individual pots, as I use semi-hydro for most things, they don't have a transition period. So I'm hoping it'll be easier for them and they'll do a little bit better. This is one that I have put just in a little jelly jar for right now. You can see, let me do this. You can see the roots in there. Now this one does not have drainage holes at this point. I've just put this one in here a few days ago, and I will be transferring it before too long to its own pot with the drainage holes, which is part of what makes it semi-hydro. It does have, let me see in here, there's a nice little root there. They do need to be watered. They're just about dry. And this one, I have several in there. And this one actually is one of the containers. Oh, look at the roots there. One of the containers that I did drill the hole in thanks to Michael's tutorial. And that is one of my little $1 vases. Also, in that same shape container is this little mini phalaenopsis. So it seems happy in there for now. So I'm really liking that. I like the aesthetics of it as well when they're in the house. One of the this is my little air plant container. This bowl tends to change according to the seasons. For Mardi Gras, I usually have some big giant Mardi Gras beads in there that we caught, and so it's summer, so I figured, this would be appropriate. So there's just seashells, things that we've collected when we go to the beach, and these are all different types of tillandsia. I have some Spanish moss in there, which is also tillandsia, but that way they just kind of sit above the shells, because I'm afraid if they were touching the shells that their little bottoms would try to rot. So anyway, a friend of mine commented on it the other day that she enjoyed it, and I thought I would share it. Let me get this little tillandsia bootsy eye. So I also have a couple of Vanda babies that I have gotten recently at Lowe's. Seems to be where I get most of my orchids. It's pretty limited here. Let me move this over a bit. So these are just sitting in the leca pellets. Now, I really have them there more for support than moisture. These are not semi-hydro. They don't really have a water reservoir. Basically, I would say at this point that I'm using that for my growing medium, at least inside. I will be moving these outside soon, and I think I am going to change from the leca pebbles for these to either just rocks, plain old rocks, or lava rocks, because we, though we tend to get really hot, really dry, we have had just an astonishing amount of rain in the past month or two. So I'm finding that some of my plants that are in the leca pellets outside are staying too moist. It's actually raining again right now. I don't know if you can see that. It's dripping off the outside there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I do have these in here. They actually have a pretty decent root system for getting them at Lowe's. And yeah, let's see how that does. This is a semi-terete Vanda, which I don't have. I have 4 of the strap leaf vandas so far. Well, I guess 5 now with this little baby. So I'll be curious to see how this does. This one requires more light than the strap leaf, so I think it'll be happier outside anyway, but I definitely need to find it an appropriate container. I don't really want to do the baskets because I'm hoping when I need to bring them in the wintertime that they're in a pot or container of some sort. It would make it much easier to water it and to care for. And yes, I realize that's making it easier for me, but really everything that we're doing with orchids, barring placing them on a tree, is for our convenience because they don't grow that way in nature anyway. So anyway, that's a few of the things that I have going on. I really wanted to do the semi-hydro for the deflasking and go over that and tell you my experiences with it. And if I get brave enough, I will certainly try that with another type of orchid, and I'll keep you updated on how that goes. So anyway, thanks for coming by. I hope it was enjoyable, and I would love to hear some feedback and comments if you have them. Thanks again.